Thank you once again for joining us on this special episode of State of the Economy, where we address issues that have to deal with the economy of Zimbabwe. And of course, of particular interest is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. And we'll be looking at what happens within the ministry and how it impacts the economy of the country. I'm Justin Mahlatla, and I'm joined today by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Professor Amon Murwira. Professor, it's a pleasure having you on this program.
Thank you, Justin.
Wonderful.
I'm very happy to be here.
Great, and compliments of the new year.
Same to you. Thank you.
Now let's start with the most significant achievements in the foreign affairs and international trade arm that you lead as a minister. What have you achieved as a ministry?
The national objective of Zimbabwe is to establish a free, democratic society that has people that are prosperous, have happy and fulfilling lives. And this you find in Chapter 2 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Section 8. This is the basis that was used, or that is being used by His Excellency to formulate his vision, starting with Vision 2030 of reaching an upper middle income economy where people are prosperous, happy, and have fulfilling lives. So this is the cardinal point to which we navigate to. So what has happened is that using this objective, we have developed several capability pillars in order for us to reach that national strategic intent. The first of all is local production. Because trade, you trade with something that you produce. And it's a very important, it might be simplistic, but a very important issue. That's why His Excellency then says, first of all, nyika inovakwa nevenevayo. Ilizwe lakiwa ngabanikazi balo. Calling us to work into local production. And then the next is therefore to encourage international trade, where we gel into markets, regional, continental, and worldwide, where we are encouraging that trade. Zimbabwe, when the Second Republic came in, I think he had a GDP of about 16 billion. But now we are over 50 billion in terms of our GDP. That's not a mean movement. That's a swift movement within the past 7 years of the leadership of His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. You will see that in terms of facilitation of international tourism, making destination Zimbabwe, facilitating through our embassies and tourism attaches, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade is the conduit upon which these things happen in terms of facilitation. So you would find that with the work of the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry and us facilitating them, like this last year, we have had our tourism achieving the highest in terms of GDP, compared with mining, traditional leaders of mining, and traditional leaders of agriculture. And one of the issues that we have also been able to facilitate and achieve is scientific and technical cooperation. You would know that Zimbabwe launched ZimSat-1 in 2022, followed by ZimSat-2 in 2024. These are all results of international collaboration. In terms of mining, you can see a lot of investment that has happened in the mining. All this is because Zimbabwe is being looked at as a destination for investment, a destination to visit, a destination for leisure, a destination for production. And you would see that one of the things that we have done is to link with our diaspora, with our consular services, whereby we have a diaspora division. And you can see that our people in the diaspora have contributed a lot in terms of inflows of remittances, for example, just as remittances, without even talking about investment. This is because of engagement, re-engagement. You must have looked at or seen that His Excellency the President, when he's addressing the nation, he's no longer just saying Zimbabweans. He's saying Zimbabweans at home and in the diaspora. This is part of that policy.
When the Second Republic came in, there were issues to do with the reputation of the country abroad, the perception, how foreigners saw Zimbabwe then. Has that perception changed?
The chief foreign minister is the president. I'm an assistant. You will see that the work that has happened, I've talked about a record number of tourists coming to Zimbabwe. People don't come to places which they perceive to be bad. You can see the record number of tourists. You can see the record number of remittances that I've been talking about. This is a result of this change of perception. First of all, we have to assert ourselves and believe in ourselves before we can be believed in. One of the issues that has happened is believing in ourselves, knowing that we are masters of our own destiny, knowing very well that it is about us. And when we are us, others can come. Because others cannot come to people who don't believe they are themselves. So that was the first thing. That's why in the first place I was talking about local production. First of all, you have to do local production before you do trade. That's what begins, because trade means exchange. Because you can't exchange goods with air, no? Because trade is based on production. I'll tell you the difference. If you import and import and import, that's not trade. It's called buying. Trade happens when you also sell something. So you can see that the numbers of trade have changed drastically. And I think last year our exports were in excess of 6 billion in 2024, showing this change of perception, which is resulting in things that are happening as we speak. That our foreign policy is a reflection of our domestic environment, our domestic policy. So we polish ourselves domestically in order to advance our international standing. So you would see the amount of work that we've done in infrastructure, the amount of work that we've done in education, the amount of work that we have done in our roads, for example, in our airports, and you have seen the amount of work we have done in our tourism internally. And I think the Ministry of Tourism always talks about domestic. So visit your places before they are visited by others. If they see you visiting your place, they will come and visit the place too. So you can see that our act is local, our impact is international. So our foreign policy is a reflection of our internal environment.
With an international impact. Exactly. We'll look at that and more when we return from this break. You're watching State of the Economy. Don't go away. You are watching State of the Economy. We continue with our look at how the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade is impacting the economy of Zimbabwe. Now, Honorable Minister, the drive to promote international trade is actually being championed by the ambassadors that Zimbabwe has posted across the world. I want us to look at how different are these individuals with those in the previous administration, perhaps when we look at the capabilities in terms of attracting foreign direct investment, promotion of trade and so forth, because this is now a thrust of the Second Republic, which you are championing as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. We didn't have that previously.
If you want to understand the ambassadors, you must understand His Excellency the President. Who is the #1 ambassador? Ambassadors are posted by the president. So if you understand the president, you will understand the ambassadors. So what does the president say? The president has the doctrine for foreign affairs. His doctrine of integrity, dignity, and prosperity for Zimbabwe, which he has got about 6 tenets. Number 1, nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Number 2, chimurenga chepfungwa, we must think and do. Number 3, Zimbabwe is open for business. Number 4, we leave no place and no one behind. Number 5, Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. Some of these things tell you the characteristic of ambassadors that we have. A country with self-confidence, a country that believes. That's what has been the tenet. After years of sanctions, we have come to look into ourselves to say, what can we do ourselves? What we can do ourselves attract the external. People don't visit people that are mourning about themselves. People visit people that are confident about themselves. So the type of ambassador that is being sent into the world is the type of ambassador that reflects the doctrine and philosophy of His Excellency the President, of advancing Zimbabwe's national interests, which are of prosperity, which are of dignity, which are of integrity and sovereignty of this nation. But where this nation believes in itself and gives opportunities to itself and others that work with that nation, which means people benefit from ourselves and we benefit from them through cooperation, because our job is cooperation based on the tenets of our heritage.
Honorable Minister, in that same vein of Zimbabwe being among other members of the United Nations, the Committee of Nations and so forth, we have witnessed the geopolitical events that somehow have affected how Zimbabwe relates with other countries in terms of international trade. How is Zimbabwe positioned to deal with those issues and address them?
There can be tensions across the world. But if you say we are open for business, we are a friend to all and an enemy to none, and in all our dealings according to the Constitution, one of the most important things, Section 12, is peaceful coexistence with other nations and the respect of international law. You understand Zimbabwe's posture in the face of geopolitical tensions. In the face of geopolitical tensions and disruptions in the world, we ride on our philosophy of peace. We ride on our philosophy of the respect of international law. We ride on our philosophy of Pan-Africanism, which is enshrined in our Constitution. We ride in our philosophy and issue of solving international disputes by peaceful means. All this, if you read Section 12 of the Constitution, it tells us how we should behave, a friend to all at the same time. It means no matter what happens, our philosophy will guide us towards dignity, towards integrity, towards prosperity. We don't throw a fight, we throw peace. Based on that, we reap trade, prosperity, integrity, and perpetual sovereignty of this nation.
Closer to home, you look at what is happening in Mozambique. Yes, there are efforts even at regional level through SADC to make sure there is peace in that country. But Zimbabwe is a very close friend and an ally of the people of Mozambique, having grown that relationship from the days of the liberation struggle. How is the foreign policy working to make sure that Zimbabwe continues trading with Mozambique, even promoting peace in that country?
Mozambique is sovereign. we are the chair of SADC. His Excellency, as chairman of SADC, has expressed himself on behalf of the region, calling for all parties to dialogue and promote a peaceful Mozambique that is good for itself, that is good for the region. One of the most important things to think about is that we are devoted to peaceful coexistence with our neighbors near and far, especially our neighbors close by. You know, we can choose friends, but we don't choose neighbors. Neighbors are there, and we permanently have to befriend them. So, whatever might be happening in Mozambique, we are very optimistic that the Mozambicans themselves will solve those problems. Will render help wherever it is needed, like we have rendered help at any time in history. We believe that there will be no continual problem in Mozambique. We trust the process. We trust the philosophy. And when you look again at our foreign policy and its philosophy, peaceful coexistence with our neighbors, respect of international law, solving disputes in a peaceful manner. So we don't have confusion at all on how we handle ourselves in the face of adversity, in the promotion of peace, in Zimbabwe, in the region, in Africa, in the world. Tinomira semzambangwena. We know we will thrive. We know we will succeed because the instruments of the doctrine that were given by His Excellency the President of our foreign policy give us all parameters on how to behave. If we follow them, there will be peace here, there will be peace next door, there will be peace everywhere.
There will definitely be peace everywhere. We are taking another break. We'll return with the third and final segment of this program. Stay with us. You're watching the third and final segment of this program, State of the Economy. Honorable Minister, as a ministry, what are your goals and perhaps your targets for the year 2025?
For 2025, we have developed a strategic plan for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, which is called Strategic Plan and the Minister's Action Plan 2025 to 2030. First edition. This is a new book on our strategy and our strategic plan. And His Excellency the President is now signed his forward, which means we are ready to roll. And our execution arm, who is Zimtrade, we have produced a strategic plan for Zimtrade.
Excellent.
2025
to 2030.
2025 is this year, isn't it? Right. So we have got new strategic plans and we are ready to roll. What are we trying to do? We will be pushing several goals on encouraging and facilitating local production. How do you encourage and facilitate local production? By finding markets for them. That is the work of foreign affairs. If you find markets, you stimulate production. Working with our sister ministries and us as a conduit ministry, we will make sure that we'll find markets regionally, continentally, and internationally.
Out of interest, Honorable, which markets are you targeting for 2025?
First of all, the SADC market. Second of all, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. To start to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to promote Zimbabwean products into the region and promote that trade that happens. And then the international world, which are countries, all countries of the world. You know what we have done is we have gone on a spree of producing trade profiles for Zimbabwe. For example, this trade profile between Zimbabwe and Canada. This is trade profile between Zimbabwe and Eswatini. We have produced now over 60 trade profiles. So we are targeting all markets that are available, determining the ones where we are thriving and maintain the thriving mode, and target the ones that are slackening and ramping them up. The only way that we could do it is we've started profiling all our trade partnerships across the world. And we've started in the past 2 months doing this. And this is trade. So we have several strategies, as I said. First of all, that of stimulating local production, finding markets for tourists. Also, making sure that we engage our diaspora more intensively and productively, looking towards that and redefining this world in Zimbabwe's eyes, straight eyes, in trade eyes. Zimbabwe must have different eyes. Economic diplomacy talks about trade opportunities. So the way we look at countries should be different. We don't look at a country using its name. You look at a country using the opportunities that obtain in that country.
That brings me to my next question, Honorable Minister. We have an incoming new president in the United States of America, Donald Trump. And we understand in terms of the foreign policy interests of the Americans, it's America first. But here you are as Zimbabwe, you are saying you will not be looking at that aspect, you'll not be looking at America in the form of its name, but in terms of the interest that you also have as a country pertaining trade. How do you plan to navigate those philosophies coming from the Americans and perhaps other like-minded countries? How are you going to maneuver and still trade with such countries?
Zimbabwe is open for business, friend of all and enemy to none. Leaving no place and no one behind, so we'll go everywhere. Building our country as a priority, fostering our national prosperity. So using these philosophies, we'll be able to engage with any country, including the United States of America, in a very positive and peaceful way that benefits us, that benefits the rest of the world. So we are looking forward to a very bright future for this country. The bright future for this country will only come when we don't have confusion as to what is our objective. Our objective is our independence, our sovereignty, our freedom, our prosperity, our happiness, our having fulfilling lives through modernization, industrialization.
Zimbabwe will be joining other countries for the Osaka 2025. That's an event that brings together many countries, you know, in terms of trade globally. And Zimbabwe is looking forward to attending that. But what are the intended benefits that arise out of Zimbabwe's participation at the Osaka 2025 event?
Ukama mwenyika gunowanikwa pakuchinjana kana kutengeserana. Muchivanhu tinoti ukama ikasva hunozadziswa nokudya. Ukama hwenyika yedu nedzimwe ikasva kana tisingachinjani, tisingatengeserani. It means trade is the primary goal of country relations, because we fulfill each other's needs through trade. All negotiations and everything their success is seen in the amount of trade that will ensue and economic activity that ensues from that diplomatic effort. Now, Osaka Expo, just like Dubai Expo, or expos in general, are very important platforms where we promote brand Zimbabwe in the Committee of Nations to encourage investment and trade between ourselves and the other countries. So Osaka is very important to us because it's an opportunity for us to market ourselves. Don't forget the national objective. Our national objective is to build a prosperous society that has happy people and whose people have fulfilling lives, which means those lives can only be fulfilled through national development. And national development is fulfilled through trade, production and trade. Therefore, Osaka is a place for production and trade of produced goods and services. So we expect that during that time, with no confusion, with our doctrine, we will be able to confront good things and work with good things that lead to our national objective, as I said, of a free society that is people that are prosperous, happy, and fulfilling lives. We expect Osaka to deliver the same.
I just thought of the issues of when you mentioned modernization earlier, and Zimbabwe going to Osaka 2025 is an opportunity for the country to learn in terms of how other advanced nations have modernized their economy. And this is also one of the issues at the core of President Emmerson Mnangagwa's administration, modernizing of the economy. How do you come in as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in facilitation of that thrust?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, look at the work of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is well cut through His Excellency the President. Imagine you are making a road. Imagine the instruments that you put up front to make that road. You are likely to do surveying, right? After surveying, you are likely to do topographic mapping. After mapping, you are likely to deploy bulldozers and yellow equipment to clear the road. The survey, the yellow equipment, and the making of the road is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. And we don't have confusion about that. We are the spearhead of the nation into the international world. We clear the way into the international world so that local production is a place to thrive. And so that our people, cultural, educational, technological exchange can happen along that road. And that road is called Foreign Affairs and International Trade. So no confusion.
No confusion indeed. Well, that's the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Professor Amon Murwira, talking to us about the role that his ministry plays in building and strengthening and growing as well as modernization of the economy of Zimbabwe. And that was the discussion here on State of the Economy. As we continue with these episodes, thank you very much, Foreign Affairs Minister, Honorable Amon Murwira, for joining us on the program.
You are very welcome. I'm privileged to have been interviewed here.
Indeed, it's a pleasure. Until we meet again next time on another episode, happy viewing.